What's up guys, Syiler here, and I am back with another mount guide, and this time we're going to take a look at how to get the Abyss Worm, which is this kind of greeny looking weird sneak thing, very similar to the Riddler's Mind Worm, which is the secret mount in World of Warcraft. This is a green version of the same model, same mount, just a greeny version, and this is going to come from the Tomb of Sargeras, which is quite an easy solo on LFR at least. It's doable on normal, and then the other two difficulties, it's going to be a lot more of a challenge and you're probably going to need people to help you. So this mount does come from the third boss, technically the fifth, but you can do it third, which is Mistresses Eenz, and it's going to drop from all four difficulties: LFR, normal, heroic and mythic, meaning if you can do all four difficulties you have 4 chances of getting the mount per week per character. The mount is on about a 4 to 5% drop chance, that's estimated, but it's around there. It's not too low, but it's not high enough that you're going to be guaranteed it. It's still going to take you a few runs unless you do get lucky. Now, to access this place on LFR, you're going to need to head to Dalaran in the Broken Isles, and towards the Violet Hold you'll find an NPC. You'll be able to speak to that NPC and he will give you access to various LFRs from Legion. The one that we want is the Gates of Hell. Gates of Hell will put you into the first 3 bosses, the third boss being Mistress of Sassz'ine for us, and that's going to be your way of doing LFR. In terms of the eye level I recommend for LFR, I'd say around 370ish should be doable. Depends on your class and spec and your talent build, that's going to make it, easier or harder depending on what you are. For normal, which is what we're going to take a look at in this video, is going to be about 390ish to 400. Once again, depends on your class, your spec, your setup, how you approach these fights. But this place isn't going to be that difficult, and LFR should definitely be doable by a lot of players. Now, to get here for normal, heroic and mythic, you'll need to head to the Broken Shores, and it's just going to be this place towards the back end of the Broken Shores. Big massive building, you can't miss it. You have the green circle on your map too to help you find it. Right click on your character portrait, set the raid difficulty to normal, and in you go. Now, as far as I could tell, there was no prerequisites to enter the raid. I tried on a character that hadn't unlocked the Broken Shores and I was able to enter just fine, but it might be some kind of account-wide thing where you can enter the raid. I don't think it is though. Pretty sure the raid is just accessible by everyone. In terms of the first boss, Goroth, you're going to have 3 Infernals to kill before the boss, which are very easy, nothing really too much going on there. And then this boss itself isn't that difficult, not too many mechanics to deal with. The main thing you need to keep an eye on though is when he summons these pillars, you'll want to immediately move away from the pillar, because those pillars are going to be very important. So once that pillar spawns, we're going to move away to the left side a little bit, just so we don't end up destroying it. And you want to use those pillars for 2 things. The first thing is the Shattering Star. When that happens, you want to hide behind the pillar. And then when he starts doing Infernal Burning, once again, you want to hide behind the pillar. It's just going to reduce the damage you take by quite a lot. The other mechanic we need to be worried about is this kind of red fell shield of molten armor looking icon. Once that expires, it's going to explode, making you take some damage, but then applying a new debuff, which is going to make you take even more damage. So once that comes around, that's when you want to be a little bit scared and looking to use defensive cooldowns. But outside of that, it's just a case of doing the mechanics properly and just living through the unavoidable damage. It isn't that high though, better CD management, and you should be a-okay with that. I don't see it being too bad. Now, directly behind the boss, you're going to find this hole in the ground. You don't want to go right, instead you want to jump down this hole, because this is going to take us towards Sister Sassz'ine, and Sister Sassz'ine, Mistress Sassz'ine, and it's going to take us in the right direction. So once we head down here, you're going to have 3 packs of trash to kill. Not too difficult, there's not really anything special that goes on with these mobs, just kill them down. Like, these mobs have, 20-30k per mob, die very, very quickly, so you shouldn't be scared of these at all. And then the next packs, I'd recommend just pulling together, and then we'll be in the Lair of Harjatan onto our second boss of 3. So kill this trash down, and then we'll be onto the boss. Now, this boss, once again, isn't that difficult mechanically. There's not a whole lot going on that you can worry about or do. It's just going to be a bit of a DPS race, and if you're going to use Bloodlust or whatever, or potions and stuff like that, this is where I'd say you need it. This is a big DPS race, and doing as much damage as you can is really going to help you here. Having big cooldowns for later on in the fight as well, like defensives and stuff, is going to be a huge help too. So once we pull the fight, the main thing we need to worry about is that debuff that you can see, the claw. That's what makes this fight hard, because it's not really resettable unless you're maybe a paladin or something. because it's way too long. It's 30 seconds. There's no way we can kite the boss around for 30 seconds to reset the stacks. And they apply quite quickly. So throughout the fight, you're going to be taking increasing damage consistently. It's rough. The next thing he's going to do is summon these Murlocs. Kill those ASAP because they're going to do quite a bit of damage to you. It's unnecessary, and they barely have any HP anyway, so just get those killed as soon as possible. Just reduces the overall damage you're going to take. The next thing we need to worry about is this unchecked rage, I think it's called. He's basically going to do a slam in front of himself when he hits 100 energy, and it isn't that much damage, but after I'd done the fight, I was wondering if I could maybe avoid it, because it is like a frontal cone. Maybe if you have high mobility or a teleport, when he's doing that, you might be able to kind of get away from him and avoid the damage completely. That's something you could consider if you are taking too much damage, but it doesn't do that much damage, so it shouldn't be a huge concern. It's mainly going to be this stacking debuff that is the big scare. So yeah, just keep that in mind anyway. He is going to be progressively getting more and more damage as well every time he does unchecked rage, because you're not going to have enough people to quell his rage. Essentially, you need 5 people. So keep that in mind too. The later ones are definitely going to start to hurt quite a bit. So if you can teleport out of them or whatever, save it for later on. I wasn't able to test that because I only got 1 attempt on the boss, but it's something you can consider to maybe reduce the damage, as I said, but I'm not too sure if it'll work. It makes sense that it would work, but give it a try, see what happens. So once we're done with that boss, we're going to head down this corridor and head to the right, not to the left, because if you head to the left, you'll end up with the Sisters of the Moon, I think it's called. And if you head right, we're going to go down here and end up to Mistresses Eenz, which is the boss that we need. Most of this trash here is skippable. I think the very first pack we're about to kill now is skippable, and then a couple of the other packs are skippable too. I end up pulling most of it because I'm lazy, or bad at avoiding trash, I guess is the real cause. But it doesn't take very long to kill anyway. This pack directly in front of us is definitely an easy avoid. And then these 2 mobs here are avoidable if you hug one of the sides, depending on where they're patrolling. These jellyfish things, not so much. You probably could avoid them, but it seems more effort than it's worth for how quickly they die. They will do this kind of massive blue circle and just move out of it when it happens, unless you can kill them fast enough like we do. But even then, I think it only stuns you or something. So once we're done with the trash, we end up in Mistresses Eenz room. And this fight is a little bit rough. There's a few things that could catch you off guard. They're going to do these slicing tornadoes, and you should have enough damage in the beginning of the fight to completely ignore the first one. So use all your DPS cooldowns, stuff like that. And you should ignore the first set of slicing tornadoes, which is going to be quite nice. When she does these Abyss Stalkers, just kill those off as soon as possible. But you might need to delay the later on ones to die in, because she's going to do Slicing Tornado again, and the way you deal with Slicing Tornado is having these green pools be on the ground when it happens. The Slicing Tornado will be absorbed by the green pool, and the tornado will disappear, giving you a gap in the tornado wall, which you'll see a little bit later on. So if you're struggling with the Slicing Tornadoes, you might need to keep an Abyss Stalker alive or something, just so that you've got the pool available to you when you need it. The other mechanic she's going to do is puts this kind of purple zone on the ground. Just don't go near it. You don't really need to deal with the mechanic because you won't have enough of them anyway to deal with it properly. And then eventually she's going to make you kind of be dragged towards this hole. Don't go too close to it because it will insta-kill you. And there's no real way of you dealing with that mechanic because you need 3 of those purple pools. And when you give it 3, it'll stop. But because we're on our own, we don't get 3. Or eventually you'll get 3, but it's going to take a really long time, so it's not really worth dealing with. It's better to just stand on one side of the room and be slowly dragged and then move back again is the easiest way of dealing with it. The other mechanic is going to be that massive kind of whitish block on the ground that you seen a second ago. When that happens, you want to just move out of it, and that's it. Really simple mechanic. The final thing is going to be Hydra Shot. It's going to deal a good chunk of damage, but just use a defensive or something because you're not able to deal with that mechanic on your own anyway. So you seen the Slicing Tornadoes a moment ago, and there was a wall created because the green puddle was on the ground, and that's it. So it's not that bad of a fight. On LFR, the tornadoes are going to have a permanent gap, so you don't even need to worry about the green pools on LFR. It's going to be a much easier and approachable fight. On normal though, you might need to think about it a little bit, and as I said later on, you might need to keep an Abyss Stalker alive just so you can deal with that mechanic. So yeah, that is the full video out of the way, and hopefully you got the mount. If not, give it another go. and hopefully this mount helped you out. Oh, sorry, hopefully this video helped you out. Look out for more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.